It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 10 of The Walking Dead. This is going to be my sneak peek breakdown for 3 new sneak peeks that they released for the Season 10 finale, Season 10 Episode 16, which is called A Certain Doom, which is actually going to air on Sunday, October 4th. I think I have these sneak peeks in the right order, but we'll just go through them. So the first sneak peek that we're going to look at is a conversation between Father Gabriel and the survivors trapped inside the tower. We actually see Magna there. We see Daryl, of course. We see Lydia. We see Judith. Father Gabriel says, "We lead the horde away, just not from Oceanside as we had planned." So, of course, their original plan was to lead the horde away from Oceanside. And their plan changed when Beta and the Whispers basically trapped them inside this tower that they're at. Father Gabriel goes on to say, once the walkers are cleared, we rendezvous point B. So that kind of connects back to my earlier predictions and speculation that they're going to try to lead the herd away and then they're going to come back and regroup in one location to do something else. So it seems like that's exactly what Father Gabriel is saying here. Then he asks Luke, "Are you ready?" And then Luke replies, "Yeah, technically." He goes on to say, "Okay, so these are the final pieces that we need to connect to the wagon. But in order for it to do the Pied Piper thing that we needed to do over the cliff, we got to get from A to B." Now, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. It's really vague based on what he's saying. But it has something to do with the cliff and to connect two things together. So this might even connect to the picture that we saw earlier where we had Carol on top of a cliff. And then we have a few shots of the survivors listening. We have Jerry, Diane, and the Oceanside member. We have this shot of Luke and Jules again. Luke says, "And I gotta plug, and we should be good to go." Not exactly sure what he's plugging, but I'm assuming it has something to do with connecting something to the wagon. And then Magna says the wagon is on the other side of the horde. Jerry says, so someone's got to go through it with skins in it. So in order for them to carry out their plan, they need to get to the other side of the horde. And the horde has skins in it. Skins meaning whispers. And then we have this shot of Daryl. Father Gabriel says 4 groups, 2 in each. 1 carries the cargo, 1 protects. 1 carries the cargo. I'm assuming the cargo is the cargo that's going to be holding the pieces that Luke mentioned. And the other group is just going to protect the other people. Father Gabriel continues to say, it's crucial that all the equipment makes it to the wagon. And then we have this shot of Carol. We have this shot of Lydia. Lydia says, we can make it through. I'll help. And that's when we have Oceanside members pushing back saying, we're willing, but not if she goes. So they're willing to help out, but not if Lydia helps, which is interesting. So they obviously don't trust her. We know she's earned her trust with you, but Oceanside isn't ready. Not with this. Now the not with this is interesting because immediately after it shows Negan. So I wonder if something happened made Oceanside trust Negan or something along those lines. And that leads to this discussion because they're saying, we might have been ready to trust Negan, but we're not ready to trust Lydia yet. Something along those lines. I might be thinking too much into this, but I just think that it's interesting that those 2 shots were back to back. Then we have this shot of Father Gabriel talking. He says, that's fine. As it happens, Lydia's role is in here. So he's basically saying Lydia's going to stay inside the tower. She's not going to head out anyway, which means Oceanside members will. I'm willing to bet that one of the Oceanside members or maybe multiple members of the Oceanside are going to die. Then we have this shot of Daryl saying, look, we're not all going to make it through, but this is the only way. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's face value. Nothing really to say about that. But that's the end of the first sneak peek. Then the next sneak peek is actually the group heading out. And I'm assuming that's part of their initial plan before they go to the rendezvous point. So we have this shot of Judith, Daryl and Carol on the other side. They're pretty much saying goodbye to one another at this point. They're putting their hands on the window to say goodbye to one another. Again, a part of the same scene. And then we have this shot of Lydia looking at them. And then this shot of Kelly putting on a whisper mask. Obviously, they're gonna not only be wearing the ponchos with the guts on it, but they're also gonna be wearing the whisper masks, getting prepared to head out. We have Jerry, we have Magna, we have Daryl, we have Carol, we have some Oceanside members, and we have Kelly, we have Luke, and I think that's pretty much everyone. Then we have this shot of Carol looking back, and then this shot of Daryl looking at Lydia. Lydia's on the other side of what I'm assuming is another door, because then we see the door close and her reflection is gone. And then Jerry looks at the others, opens the door, and that's when the walkers start flooding in. So they obviously have the poncho with the guts on it, so the walkers can't get to them, but the problem is the skins or the whispers. We actually see one whisperer right here looking around, trying to figure out whether he or she can spot any of the survivors. So that's pretty interesting, but I'm assuming that they're going to trap them in. I don't think any of these whisperers and walkers are going to be able to make their way into the main area where the other survivors are inside the tower. Then we have this shot of Carol and the walkers passing by, and then this shot of one of the Oceanside members with the walkers still passing by, again with some whispers amongst them. Then we have this shot of Daryl. So we have Luke heading out first, and then everyone else, and then Daryl right here. And that's the end of the second sneak peek. The third sneak peek is actually the survivors in the middle of the herd. So we have this shot of Daryl walking amongst the herd, and then this shot of Beta looking around, and then this shot of Kelly with the whisper mask on, looking around, trying to make her way through. And then this shot of the big horde of walkers outside the tower. We have this shot of Father Gabriel looking outside, and we have Rachel, I think, one of the Oceanside members there as well with the bow and arrow. Father Gabriel says, I can't find any of them. I think he's referring to whispers, so he's trying to spot whispers amongst the herd. Lydia says Beta knows they are in there, which means they're at risk. We actually see Scott in the background as well. Father Gabriel looks at Lydia, concerned about what she just said, and then Diane says, so what do we do? And that's when Rachel says, hey, I've got one. So she thinks she has one of the whispers in sight. And then Father Gabriel says, are you sure? She says, yes, I think so. And then Father Gabriel says, wait, we need to be certain. Might be one of our own. So obviously they don't want to shoot one of their own, so they have to be super careful. And that's what Father Gabriel is saying here. And that's when we hear some sort of an explosion that gets everyone's attention. This is obviously part of the explosion that happened. And then boom. So it seems like they had set out like a booby trap wire connected to an explosive. And it seemed like some whispers did try to make their way up from the stairwell, but the booby trap got them. One of them we see here is actually injured pretty badly. Their whole face is like burned and everything, so that's interesting. There's like a nail in one of his eyes. I'm assuming that's part of the explosive that went off. And then we see another whisper pass by behind him. So there's more whispers coming in, and obviously at this point they would know there's an explosive, so they're probably gonna walk over it instead of walk through it and explode. And that's when Judith runs off, closes the door, and then we get the others that heard the explosion come in. Father Gabriel, Rachel, and Scott. Judith says they're coming up. And that's the end of the third sneak peek. That's pretty much it. That's everything that they released. These sneak peeks are actually very interesting, and it gets me super excited about this episode. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, make sure to share and smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.